Never again.
Never again.
Will we allow another Holocaust.
Another Holocaust
To happen. To any people.
To any people.
You have the demonizing and criminalizing of immigrants. You have doors being broken down in the middle of the night, people dragged from their homes, families split apart, people deported. This is the reality. Entire communities are being terrorized. Now, some of us, when we were growing up many years ago in the 50s and 60s, we watched the movie, The Diary of Anne Frank, or some of us read the book where they were hiding out to prevent, so they wouldn't be rounded up by the Nazis and sent to concentration camps. Well, you have the same thing going on today in immigrant communities, among Salvadoreños, among Guatemaltecos, among Mexicanos, among people from the Middle East, people who are afraid to go out of their homes. And we're here at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, because we have seen the bitter and bloody lessons of history. We have seen what happens when people do not act to drive out fascism. We are going to do what the German people did not do in 1933.
I'm in agreement with this no wall, no mass deportation, all of these things. Well, the young lady saw me standing there and she asked me if I would hold one of the signs. Well, of course, I'm against these things that are being presented to this country right now. As I was just explaining to the lady, I spent a little short of 13 years in the military. I served proudly, late Vietnam up until just before, in 1986 is when I got out. And I just don't agree with things that this presidency is doing, and it's absolutely horrible. And I think that he's leading us toward another war, and I believe it's going to be one of the worst, or maybe the end of the world type of war. So that's just my opinion on it.
And so what do you think about the parallel that this is making between Nazi Germany and now?
I think that it's a direct line. I think there's a direct line. When you start taking away people's rights and you do nothing about it, it does nothing but get bigger and bigger and bigger until you have no rights. And you can see that with when you make a statement that the Mexicans are the ones that are causing all the problems with their drugs and their raping and whatever else they are supposedly doing coming here. And you're just talking about a group of people. You're not even talking about individuals. You have no information, no knowledge, and you're maligning people and trying to kill them. Deporting all those people, it's horrible. It's not, and ICE is not obeying the law on immigration, and I find it frightening, very frightening. It's very frightening. I have to limit my reading of the paper. I force myself to read it.
You all know the Diary of Anne Frank. We all grew up with that. How poignant that was. But what shattered me, and I'm going to start crying and I apologize, is she came up to me with a picture while we were talking about reading this book that had her and her cousin Ellen Sonnenfeld and Margot and Anne Frank. They had grown up together as little children. And I had no idea. And I remember turning to her and saying, how could this happen? How could the German people allow this to happen? And she didn't have a good answer. But I said that day at 13, never again.
As the gentleman was just saying, I listened to him speaking. That was one of the most horrific times in our history, and some people may think it has no effect on them, but it has effect on everyone. It touches lives, no matter what your color, what your race or creed. It touches all of those, every fashion. And it's something to be thought about, that we should never, ever, ever go into anything like that again.